Welcome to Vendor Risk Summit Asia Edition. My name is Dr. Erdal, and today I'm going to talk with you why we need regulations, especially there are too many of them, which regulations to choose in the case of you are not sure what to do, and actually how good the regulations are, what's happening in the cyber world and how we combine it. Let's start with our session. Overview of information security standard, especially in the light of the new regulations. As I said, I'm Dr. Erdal. I work at Standard Chartered Bank as Regional Chief Information Security Officer. Probably you came across me in many other conferences. I completed master's degree, a couple of bachelor degrees. I'm author of several books, which some of them are bestsellers and best books of all time award winners, which you can gain later. All right. Before we start the session, if you have any question after the event and you want to stay in touch in social media, those are my social media accounts, my YouTube channel, and so on. So feel free to connect, and I'm more than happy to talk to you offline as well. So before we go anywhere else, what was the standard again? Why do we need standards? As you all know, a standard is a published specification that establishes a common language, and it contains a technical specification or other pre-choose criteria, and it's designed to be used consistently as a rule, guideline, or definition. I know I read the definition because it's important to know what it is. So what is then a security standard? It's the same thing which focus on cybersecurity or security itself. It could be a rule, a guideline, or a definition. Okay, why do we need standards? I mean, I told you that I worked for a bank, but before the bank, I used to always work for a vendor, and before Standard Chartered, I used to work for Microsoft, to Camp Technologies, to Ozkaya, and so on. It was always a service providing company, and there, when I used to talk to customers, they always used to say, like, what is the standards? Why do we need a standard? Standard is usually a great way which provides us a common set of reference points. It will enable us to evaluate whatever the organization has a proper process, procedure, or control. You, as customer, before you buy something, why do you usually, this is my water bottle, and I see that it's been certified by the government. When I buy my phone, you see that's my Apple phone, you'll see e-certification is there. Or this is my Samsung phone, has similar certifications in it. It gives me sort of assurance, like with your car. I hope before you buy a car, you check the NCAP ratings. 5-star means in case of an accident, it will protect you on a 5-star rate. 1-star means, the car is good until you have your accident. So it is giving you a confidence as well. It shows that you as customer or as vendor are compliant or meet a certain standard compared to others. So regardless of implementers, standards are designed to make our life easier and better. But what kind of standard? Which standard? Are there too many standards? Yes, unfortunately, or fortunately, there are. There is 3 types which I can quickly divide into: the business standards, such as ISO, such as HIPAA, such as GDPR. Depends on the organization. Then product standards, again. When I said ISO, for example, ISO 27001 could be a business standard, where ISO 9001 could be a quality assurance standard. Then, of course, there are some individual standards. As you can guess, the business standards will apply to organization and state to show they meet the requirements to satisfy those standards. The product standards, again, will tell you how good this product is. And usually this can be a good marketing way. Same with individual standards. if you're hiring someone, if someone has a certificate from that authority, this is usually a proof that that person that you're hiring is the right person. All right, the main question that we have here, what can potentially go wrong with your security standards? I am I used to actually, not anymore, deliver ISO 27000 audits. I saw 27,000 lead auditor and implementer as well. As auditor, things are much, much easier to see. As implementer, sometimes you wonder like, all right, what am I going to do? How can I do this? How can I hide the cloud standard? Or as auditor, you're going to see that basically they meet the standards. But you as an organization, why do you need the standards? If your aim is only and only marketing, then unfortunately having standards could be really just a tick box exercise, which is in a way showing that your organization does not care about security standards. Honestly, as auditor, I went to some organizations which they had ISO for 3 years. During the renewal process, somehow I was hired as the trusted advisor. When I opened the documentation and go through, I was wondering, like, how come you have the standards, but how come you have this huge gap here? Because they took the standard, they satisfied the management, they are compliant, but they never keep up to the standards. As a result, of course, they were not able to renew it. So this is the biggest go wrong which I saw in my past experience. One of the other biggest issue I see is usually, all right, Erdal, which regulation relates to me, to my organization, to us? This is usually a straightforward question depending on your business nature. But the first thing that you should do is you should assess regardless of the standards. First step is always to regulate with the law. The law is more successful than the standard. If the law says, for example, you are not allowed to use the mouse, but the standard says you should use a mouse, unfortunately, the law comes first and you will ban the use of mouse. You like it or not? And if you need to get the standard, then you have to tell the standard authority why you cannot implement this, standard. Besides that, again, with standard, for example, you're a bank. Do you really need HIPAA? What is HIPAA? HIPAA is usually the health standards. What does this have to do with financial organization? Not directly, but your organization could be having a hospital and bank and maybe a car manufacturing under one chain, under holding. Then it might get related to you. Again, as I said in the beginning of my session, regulations are in place to help your organizations to improve your, I'm talking about security regulations, to improve your security strategy by providing the guidelines. If you don't meet these guidelines, then you are not compliant. But the other issue is sometimes you meet the you're compliant, but one of the important aspect is the PDCA, plan, do, check, act. You plan, you do, you act, but if you don't continuously improve what you have, then you might miss the gap. Back to the main question. Most of the organization is at least subject to one regulations. In banking, it's usually straightforward. You have to work with central bank, where in other, like in health, if you're in a US hospital, you have to have HIPAA. Or in manufacturing, you have to have 9001, not have to, but some of them are optional, of course, but some of them are not. So the difficulties comes, which one should I implement? For example, security standards. Should I get ISO 27001, 20005, 20012, or should I go to COVID? Should I get this? Should I get this? You know, this is sometimes hard. The solution is, as I said in the beginning, first, know the law. Know what applies to your organization. Then outline the regulations that will impact the company, your company first, of course. Then determine which security controls need to be implemented to specify all the requirements effectively. The third step is going to be organize your information security to address the boundaries, no, end to end, and then put place by those acts. Don't forget, regardless which standard you choose, you have to have a scope. Let's say you work in an organization with 50,000 employees and you have multiple data centers, multiple departments. Can you get ISO to whole organization at once? Probably yes, but I would not recommend so, because the scope is going to be huge, and you complying with the huge scope can be time consuming. What you can do instead, maybe get the right regulations, the right act, which will make your life easier. In some states, for example, if you're in a financial organization, the central banks usually force you to work with the 4 big auditing companies like KPMG, Deloitte, or you name it. Okay, then they can help you to get those regulations. But again, let's say you're an international bank. Which regulations are you going to get? I live in the UAE. Should I get NISA first, or should I get I work in a British bank, should I get the British standard first? It all depends. As a group, especially being a British bank, of course, I have to comply with my British regulations, but as being a local bank here in the UAE as well, then I need to comply with the local regulations, in this case, NISA. We have also branch in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in Australia. This applies to all of those countries. As long as you put the boundaries, and then it doesn't mean everything has to be in country, but all what you have to do is satisfy the requirement. Yeah, your firewall doesn't have to be, for example, sitting next to you. It could be in a different state, but as long as it protects you, firewall example probably was not the best, but as long as it protects you, then you are compliant. So the fourth step will be then setting out a plan that outlines a consistent and effective way to alert and dealing with the threats. Right at the end, it's information security, and the threats. Threat could be calculated based on the risk that standard that you want to get, and you have to deal with the risk, with the threats to give the best solution. Here's an example. Which standard should I go? Should I go NIST? NIST, honestly, I see it as it's like Adam and Eve. I don't know if you believe in Adam and Eve, but most religions say, which I believe, by the way, that Adam and Eve is the first humans, and they were in heaven, and after that we are their child. No problem. This is a voluntary thing. You either believe or not. It's totally up to you. NIST is like Adam and Eve. It's voluntary framework, which was created to provide a customizable guide on how you can manage and reduce the cybersecurity related risk. How? Of course, they combine existing standards, guidelines, best practices to help foster communication between your internal and external stakeholders by creating the common language. Are you enforced? No, but I would highly recommend this, regardless on what industry you are, to get NIST. SIS, for example, SIS is Center of Internet Security Controls. If you have an IoT device, then probably it's the best standard to implement. I'm pretty sure you all remember the IoT attack, the DDoS attack happened just end 2019, beginning 2020. Don't hold me liable for the dates, please. There was a huge terabyte big of DDoS attack, and the reason was because everybody was using the default username and password. As a result, the hackers were able to gain access to those and create a big DOS attack. If you were just reading the standards voluntarily, you will see that one of the first recommendations in the standard is usually to change the default username and password. Why did I give this example? To show you how this guideline could save you from a big attack. A few minutes ago, I was talking about ISO 27000. This is a family of International Organization for Standardization. As I said, like it has an ISMS, the Information Security Management Standard systems, which helps you, which gives you a guideline to help you to be more secure. And again, depend on the country, depend on your organization. This could be sometimes compulsory to get, or this could be voluntary to get as well. PCI DSS. If you're a financial organization, most probably your central bank is going to force you to have PCI DSS. It has 12 regulations, a set of 12 regulations designed to reduce the fraud and protect you as customer from credit card, protected customer credit card information. Who is liable from that? You might be a financial institution who doesn't have any credit cards. Then, of course, you are not liable of this. But if you do, then most probably you have PII data, which you need to protect. Example, I'm pretty sure you are aware of this big hacks which happens in banks. If you will see that organizations, financial institutions, they comply with the regulations are usually a step ahead from the ones they're not. Another example, GDPR, the General Data Protection Act, which only is applicable if you in Europe or you deal with European citizens' data. I'm pretty sure you are fully aware of the WhatsApp scheme. The new update, the policy update at WhatsApp, many people stopped and they moved away to Telegram and Signal, which is fair. But did you know that if you are in Europe, that policy did not, WhatsApp did not push you to accept the new policy. Why? Because the regulation was or is protecting you. So if you a European citizen, let's say in Tanzania, in Africa, which can be, I went to Tanzania as well, it's a great country, then the organization who is dealing with your data has to also comply with the rules if they want international recognition. So this is still a bit complicated, but I just wanted to give you these examples, especially the WhatsApp example, to guide you through. The California Consumer Privacy Act. Again, if you an American company, and especially you're in the state of California, then regardless of being non-profit or profit entry, that does business in California has to comply with this. Of course, there is also COBIT, the Control Objective for Information and Related Technologies framework, where we are responsible. I mean, I can get this list bigger, and bigger. The examples and the compliance is not going to change. Yes, there is too many regulations, but if the regulator complies you have no option. The rest is complementary, but as I gave the IoT example, they will be helpful for you. With this, I want to stop the privacy talk. Sorry, I want to stop the standards talk and go into straight cybersecurity itself. So what should we expect from 2021 and how those policies could help us in 2021? You know, we have a few more minutes to complete the session. And I think giving this highlights can help you to understand why it's important to have policies. As you all know, our world has changed. A very little virus that we cannot even see with our eyes has changed the world. You know, the COVID. I'm pretty sure you are all wearing a mask. You're using your hand sanitizers. You try to keep your distance. And if you're lucky enough, like myself, you get the immunization to be the next step. But the world has changed, right? We are in the new normal. It changed the way we live. We don't even shake hands anymore. The way we interact. This is a great example, for example. Usually, I'm supposed to be now in Singapore, deliver the session to you face-to-face in a beautiful venue. Unfortunately, I couldn't travel there, but fortunately, we have the technology, which I can share still my thoughts with you. So we don't shake hands anymore. We don't hug each other anymore. We don't go to sports games anymore. We try to keep a distance to be safe, which is the new normal. This is bringing new challenges to us. Many organizations, they think they have the best security solutions. But then when we look at the stats, we see that actually they don't. So what is going to happen in 2021 in terms of cybersecurity? To know what's going to happen in the future, we have to know what happened in the past. So did you know that there was a cyber attack every 39 seconds? The cyber crime costed more than $445 billion US dollars last year to the economy. There was more than 30,000 websites hacked, more than 4,000 ransomware attacks, again, more than 23,000 DDoS attacks. And unfortunately, you could not find out about any of these in the first 11 months, depends on your organization. With ransomware, you know, you will not even notice until the hacker decides to ask the ransom. Lots of organizations spend lots of money on securing the devices. And if you remember my previous example, the DDoS attack example, if that organizations that they were victims were just following the right standards and as guidelines and putting in top of it, they would for sure be more secure. Okay, then what's going to happen in 2021? I'm not saying go get the standards, but I would highly recommend to at least, for example, if you're a cybersecurity person, read NIST, understand NIST, and implement NIST policies. Even if you are not dealing with European citizens and you don't have anything to do with GDPR, get this as guidelines and try to implement it, of course, with appropriate management to improve your security posture. Again, remember, one of the, don't just do this as a tick exercise. Ensure you do it to protect yourself. Again, like I see many people wearing the mask, but like this. They are not covering their nose, which means the mask is not good for you. Or you keep touching everywhere, you don't use hand sanitizer, then you rub your eye, your face. Unfortunately, this is also not the right approach. I believe in 2021, ransomware attacks will still stay in the headlines. We closed the year with gambling attack, for example, which they closed more than 20, which the hackers asked more than $10 million, they paid $4 million. Or with the huge supply chain attack. Look, the state-sponsored hacking will rise. Just end of 2020, at the beginning of 2021, we found out that a state-sponsored hacking group was able to use SolarWinds, which is a widely used software. They use this software channel, update channel, to hack multiple organizations. As COVID changed our world, remote workers, I mean, we're gonna continue working remotely, and hackers gonna try to hack those remote workers. I would highly suggest you go back to those standards, read them, and implement the good out of them. As I said, IoT devices. One of the other things, social engineering. Again, if you go to NIST, you will see that they have recommendations based on social engineering. 5G is coming. The new iPhone, the new Samsung S21, or you name your phone brand, now has the 5G. But 5G has its own complexity, which means it's going to be attractive to hackers, which means I predict there's going to be some hack incidents. Cloud, it's getting more and more important. You saw the organizations, they completed their digital transformation with the cloud, did get less affected with the COVID lockdown. When we went away and had to work from home to our offices, the organization they use this latest technologies could continue to work with less issues, let me say, where compared to others. So CIS, remember, it was in my slides. There is also a Cloud Information Security Association, which usually publish, it's not a standard yet, but they publish their best practices to protect the cloud, regardless of using Google, Microsoft, Amazon, SAP, you name it. Please, if you did in cloud, it's not compulsory yet, please go ahead and read those. And don't forget, there is going to be always different attack vectors. This could be AI, artificial intelligence. This could be financial sector attack. This could be health sector attack. Regardless of what it is, I believe the regulations is enforcing organizations to improve the security posture. If we didn't have any regulators, probably we as security team, we were never going to have budget to implement those controls. Yes, sometimes they're painful to implement. Yes, sometimes as an end user, dealing with security policies such as complex passwords, MFA, or so on, can be painful, but at the end, you have to make the choice. Do you want to be annoyed but secure, or do you want to give, you want to have easy access to your data, but also give those access to hackers and they will know your secrets. With this, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. In this presentation, I tried to talk about the regulations, the complexity, and the importance of the regulations. While I'm not even talking about the regulations, while just sharing the stats from last year and what I'm expecting this year. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I'm really looking forward to meet with you in social media. Those are my those are the ways for you to connect with me, and in third version of the summit. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.